County Kildare. Deputy, you have 4 minutes.
I'd like to thank the Ceann Comhairle for selecting this topic, a very important topical issue today that not just impacts on the rural parts of South Kildare, but also is an issue all around the country. And I thank you, Minister, for being here to take this today personally. And I want to start off by acknowledging the role that you and your department have played in addressing the structural deficit that we have in certain parts of Ireland outside of the larger urban areas and the deficiency that there is in certain areas with the lack of high-speed broadband. I particularly want to acknowledge the fact that the recent capital programme for state expenditure is the very first time that we've seen a significant direct exchequer funding being set aside for broadband provision. Normally, capital plans are schools, hospitals, physical buildings or roads, and I think this is real recognition that the invisible, if you like, need for the likes of broadband is just as important a piece of infrastructure for our state, and I want to acknowledge that. But, Minister, that money, as you know, is well needed to aid you to do your job, because it is extremely frustrating for those who haven't yet benefited from high-speed broadband. I too am extremely frustrated with the amount of time that has been wasted in the past and years of underinvestment in this whole area. Minister, I raise this topical issue today because it's very timely. A year ago today, you unveiled and published a national high-speed coverage map for 2016, which marked out areas in blue and amber depending on whether they were going to get commercial high-speed broadband by the private sector or whether they were going to need state-led intervention. And I note from recent parliamentary question responses to you that your department intend to publish an updated version of this map before the end of the year, and also hopefully to proceed to formal procurement, which will be very much welcome. But the updated map will take account of detail relating to the potential new commercial investments proposals that have been unveiled during the year. And I raise this today, Minister, because I have particular concerns about specific areas in my constituency, areas such as Narramore, Calverstown, Kilmead, Bronextown and Maganey, which were marked in amber on your map, which was published a year ago, and which were due for state-led intervention. These areas were subsequently included in Eircom's fibre broadband rollout plans announced last June. This happened to much local enthusiasm that something finally was going to happen. However, despite repeated requests that I've had with Eircom as they were, I'm unable to get any clear time frame from them, and it makes me very worried, because I'm afraid that these areas will be excluded from the next updated version of the map that you're about to publish for state-led intervention, without us getting commitments from the private sector as to when they will actually do it, when they will roll out, or give us a timeline for the private investment into that. And my main point here, Minister, is that we have to ensure that an area removed from the state intervention map isn't adversely delayed in any way. My concern is that private operators may in some way try a bit of a land grab here to take as many areas as they can to say, we're going to look after them, the state don't need to intervene there, we'll take care of that, stockpile all of this business for themselves in the years to come, but not being held to clear timelines regarding rollout. So, Minister, can you assure me that the areas removed, any areas that are going to be removed or might be removed from the state intervention map will get high-speed broadband rollout in a shorter time frame, or at the very least that it won't take any longer than they would have if they'd remained on the state-led intervention map? Other areas in my constituency, such as Moon, Allenwood, Ballytor, Ballymore Eustace, are included in previous Eircom plans but are still awaiting commencement. Minister, broadband is no longer a luxury, as you well know. It's a daily necessity for most adults, children and families. It is used for work, education, social purposes, and nearly one of the very first services that we look to when we move into a new premises. So it's really crucial that we get this right, and I just want to make sure that before you publish any new map, and before we go to the procurement, that we have those clear commitments.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister.
Well, I want to thank the Deputy for raising this important issue this evening, and also to agree with him in relation to what he said about the importance of broadband infrastructure. And he's correct that when we talk, traditionally when we spoke about infrastructure, we were talking about physical infrastructures like roads, traditionally transport, all of that big ticket physical infrastructure that is so important to a modern economy. But now we must talk about the digital infrastructure, and the broadband is critically important to that. In fact, it's absolutely at the centre of it, and I think he's right to lay emphasis on that broadband, the necessary digital infrastructure for our economy into the future. As the Deputy mentioned himself, we are delivering high-speed broadband, and the Government's National Broadband Plan is delivering high-speed broadband to every citizen and business in Ireland. This is being achieved through a combination of commercial investment by telecoms operators and a proposed state intervention in those areas where the commercial sector will not invest. The high-speed broadband map, which I published last year, provides detailed information on commercial investment areas and the proposed intervention area. It covers, I should say, over 50,000 townlands in every county, including County Kildare. I understand that high-speed broadband services have been rolled out to over 55,000 premises to date in County Kildare, with over 12,500 more expected to be served by commercial investment by end 2016. Approximately 20,500 remaining premises in Kildare will be covered either by further commercial investment or be the target for the proposed state intervention. Ireland's proposed broadband intervention strategy, which I published on the 15th of July last, sets out a series of detailed proposals by government in respect of the proposed state intervention. 41 submissions have been received arising from the recent public consultation on the draft intervention strategy. They are being carefully considered with a view to finalising the strategy in the time period by the end of this year, as the Deputy mentioned. A detailed procurement process will then be undertaken in order to select a potential bidder or bidders in line with all EU and national legislative requirements. The Government is determined to ensure that the network is built out as quickly as possible, and engagement with industry stakeholders has indicated that this could be delivered within 3 to 5 years of the contract award. Following this process, 85% of premises in Ireland will have access to high-speed services by 2018, with the balance having services by 2020. In respect of the question that the Deputy raised, I want to assure him that I am alive to the issues that he has raised. It is too soon, though, to be able to say precisely how that particular announcement by earlier this year, and other operators indeed, how those announcements or those plans might impact on the cost to the state of funding the intervention that we intend to make. Detailed examination and analysis of all commercial proposals are continuing, and I expect to be in a position to make a final decision on these by December, when I intend to publish a revised national high-speed coverage map showing commercial investment out to 2020 and a potentially revised intervention area. I want to reiterate to the Deputy and to the House that I am absolutely alive to the issues that he has raised, and to ensuring that the detailed scrutiny that he would expect us to apply to all of the commercial plans and undertakings that are in place, that detailed scrutiny is ongoing. It is coming now quickly to a conclusion, and by the end of this year, by Christmas, we'll then be in a position to make our announcements and proceed to procurement.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the Minister for his detailed response. So, Minister, can I take from your response then that just because a commercial operator says they're going to look after an extra 300,000 houses, as was the case with the announcement last June, that the Department won't necessarily take that just at face value? There is a detailed scrutiny, as you said, and that an area that was to get state-led intervention won't necessarily be knocked off the list unless the Department can be assured of a speedier high-speed rollout of at least similar high-speed quality. Because if that is the case, then that will reassure me greatly, and that is really, really important to my constituents to know that that's the case. Can I just put on the record as well that state-led intervention where there's commercial failure is the right thing to do. I fundamentally believe that. Previous governments in the past were happy to sit back and leave this to the private sector, and that's given us this patchwork map we have of our country now in relation to rollout of broadband, because the obvious thing the commercial sector were always going to do was to look after the larger urban conurbations where there was more customers, potentially where they could make a bigger return, and the areas that were always going to be left behind were the smaller villages or one-off houses in rural areas. So it's been left to government now, another one of these messes that we have to clean up to make sure that everybody gets equal access. And so state-led intervention is the right thing. I just want to make sure that the commercial sector don't get a jump on us on that one. I took a survey last year, Minister, of a number of constituents, a large number of constituents in my area, about the impact of broadband or lack of broadband on them, and it really brought home to me the really positive impact that a change will have here. We're a little over an hour from Dublin. The amount of my constituents who can travel, who can work from home for a couple of days a week and not be clogging up our roads, not be travelling, have a better quality of life, be at home at 5:30 in the evening instead of 8 o'clock, is very, very real. Never mind children who want to study or do projects online, home, internet, TV and all the rest. Small businesses that could be working from home but instead have to go into the urban towns and bigger towns to set up their business because they don't have the proper broadband at home. It's an absolutely necessary for Ireland, for us to be able to develop a more even spread of our economy and not just have urban-centred economic recovery. So, Minister, I thank you for that response, and I look forward to future developments in the coming weeks.
Minister.
Yeah, I want to repeat. I want to thank the Deputy, first of all, for his support for what we're doing, and to remark on the fact that his assessment of what we're doing and his analysis of what's necessary to be provided is absolutely spot on, if I may say so. And I want to thank him for that and for his support. And to reiterate that we are, rigorously assessing new and existing industry investment commitments, rigorously doing so, in order to ensure that they will deliver the services that they promise. So the Deputy laid some emphasis on speed of delivery, and of course that is one factor that we all have to be conscious of. But it's not the only factor. So when we assess, if you like, precisely what it is we're being told, we go behind mere assertion. That's the whole point of having an assessment process. And the commercial operators understand that, so that, no, assertions are not taken just entirely at face value. We go behind them. We have our own expert input available to us in order to assess and to evaluate, if you like, the quality of what's being said, the credibility of what's being said, what the intentions are. The speed of delivery is one issue, but there are other issues the Deputy will appreciate as well. So there's very, very considerable work going on in this. We're on target to do what we said we would do. So in July last year, we said, when I became Minister, we said we would publish the map in November. We did that. We said then we would come back in July of this year with the intervention strategy, or the detailed intervention strategy. We did that. We said then that we'd have a further consultation in respect of it and the map, and that we would come back by the end of this year, by December, with our commencement of the procurement process, and we're on target to do that as well. So we're moving ahead with this critically important project for the people of Ireland, for the reasons that the Deputy himself has set out, in terms of the economic benefits, the benefits socially and culturally, educationally, for all of the reasons that the Deputy said. He's absolutely right, and we're progressing this project, and I thank him for his support.
Thank you very much, Minister. And that concludes topical issues. We'll be moving on, but I'm just going to give some time.